Virginians going to love this. The governor pushing now to nix the gas tax in his new transportation plan. Now, that works out to 17 cents a gallon. Now, in Virginia, the average cost of a gallon of gasoline is $3.28, so this would bring it down to around $3.10, $3.11 in one fell swoop. But is the plan getting any traction with state lawmakers? To Virginia Republican Governor Bob McDonnell. Governor, good to have you. What reaction have you gotten?
Hi, Neil. Well, you know, it's a big and novel plan, and people are still evaluating it. It's a lot of use of our general fund money, cutting spending and putting money into transportation. But then converting the gas tax, getting rid of that and converting it revenue neutral to a sales tax, which grows. Gas tax is in a long-term state of decline because of fuel efficiency and inflation and other factors. So people are still looking at it, but we've had a number of major endorsements over the last couple of days from business groups. Some conservative leaders. The Speaker of the House is the patron of the bill. So I think we're off to a good start, but there's a lot of education to do because we got to fix our transportation system in Virginia.
You know what's interesting? There must be something in the water right now because your colleague in Louisiana, Bobby Jindal, wants to get rid of all taxes, save maybe hiking the sales tax to compensate. But isn't that kind of robbing Peter to pay Paul? I mean, taxes are going to have to be paid through some means. What do you say?
Well, I'd say prudent tax policy is based on an idea that taxing consumption as opposed to means of production like income is a better way to go. And I think that's why Bobby Jindal is looking at that in Louisiana. But, you know, transportation is a quality of life issue. It is a business recruitment issue. And it's been unsolved for about 20 years in Virginia. So I'm trying to create a conservative, principled way to do that. I've used public-private partnership. I've used bonds. I've cut spending and put money into transportation. And we still got a problem, particularly in our major metro areas, Neil. So I think this is a creative way. Kill one tax, move it to a tax that actually grows with economic development, and that'll raise more money for roads.
All right. Now, the 17 cents a gallon you lose on the state tax on gasoline, you're going to have to make up for, at least initially, with a fairly substantial hike in sales taxes, aren't you?
Well, it goes from 5% to 5.8%. And that's, with the rounding errors, essentially a revenue-neutral conversion in year one. But then it grows because economic activity on the sales tax grows faster than the gas tax, which is going down, as I mentioned, because of inflation and fuel efficiency, alternative fuels.
I'm sorry, Governor, you don't buy the argument that a tax on consumption of any sort limits that consumption and actually brings on the slowdown that would stifle the money you expect to get.
No, I don't buy that. Some have suggested that's why the gasoline tax is because people buy less gas and then the air is clean. That's not the policy reason. You tax things to raise revenue to provide government services, and so that's the purpose of it, not to create those kinds of policies. But Neil, the whole goal here is to create a way to have a sustainable method of funding our roads and bridges and other transportation assets for the future, so we can create more jobs, so that businesses will come and locate here, so entrepreneurs will start up here, so families can spend more time with their children, parents, and that's the whole goal, and do it in a way consistent with our conservative principles. Look, it's a different idea. I think we shouldn't be afraid of new, innovative ideas. That's what other governors are doing in the Republican Party to create more common sense ways of taxing, and this is another idea that I hope will work.
Chris Christie in New Jersey has nixed his own tax cut plans for the time being. He says because of Hurricane Sandy, and it's limited his options post the cleanup that's necessary. So is there a little battle going on in the Republican Party about whether you're going to be the party of tax cuts or the party that cools it on tax cuts? What?
Well, there are some states that have had chronically high taxes. New Jersey would be one. Chris Christie's done a good job of reining in spending and looking at some tax reductions there. I'm in a very low tax state to start with, but we still cut a fair number of individual taxes by new preferences and exemptions over the last couple of years. So, you know, my job has been cutting spending. We've cut about $1 billion and reallocated that spending, generated $1.4 billion in new surpluses, and it's because we got the second lowest unemployment rate east of the Mississippi. So that's the way we're growing in Virginia, Neil. Every governor's got to make the decisions that are best for their state, and mine's more jobs, and that's how you grow revenues.
The president is saying if it comes to the brink on this debt ceiling, it's Republicans' fault because they would risk our financial credit rating and good standing to make a point on spending. What do you think of that?
I'd say that's nonsense to some degree, Neil, because for 30 years we have overspent, overpromised, overborrowed, and now we're broke, and now the bills are due. And we've got a Democratic administration with no courage and no guts and no leadership when it comes to cutting spending and reforming entitlements and paying our bills. So to use this and to blame Republicans, I think is irresponsible. We cannot keep borrowing at this rate. We just jumped up the national debt $4 trillion on New Year's Day with no end in sight. So somebody's got to say enough is enough. And I think they need to start having a serious discussion in the White House about how we're going to cut spending.
Governor, thank you very much.
Okay, Neil. Thanks.